Honestly, who in their right mind has an SSL 4000 console in their living room? Well, you're looking at one. Okay, so if you haven't seen the first video of this series, this is basically what happened to my entire room and why I almost lost all of my gear to water damage. The upstairs neighbors had an aquarium. In the previous video I said it was about 50 liters. I checked, and with an aquarium of those dimensions it would have been closer to 180 or 200 liters, so that's a lot of water. So I took the opportunity to rethink the entire room, see what we can do to the room, how we can set it up differently. I've got a couple of things that I don't really like, is that I'm blocking the balcony door over there. I do like the daylight coming in. It is great for filming right away. There's good lighting. I do want to work here more often, so I am moving my gear here. And it just seems to be a little bit of a tight spot over here. So we have to figure some stuff out. Okay, so let's head into a couple of things that we need to fix regardless of what the position is going to be of the studio. But if you look over here at this panel, you can see that there's a lot of water residue just still there. It's really ugly, so I do not want to keep that. And then over here on this panel, the fabric is coming off of it, so I also want to reskin that. You can also see that it's kind of ugly there. So last week I visited a studio here in Amsterdam that's also in a living room, and what I really like about that studio is that they're not set up this way, because they have kind of the same setup. Like, all these houses in Amsterdam are long houses with like a balcony to that side and then just pretty narrow, but they positioned it in a 90-degree angle like that. So that would be there for me. So I would put that speaker over there and the other speaker over there, put the desk over here, and then sit right here. And yes, I know that is, according to all the gear slots and everything, not the proper way to set up your room, because you're supposed to set everything up in the length preferably. But hey, workflow is also a thing, and being able to position everything everywhere and not have the windows there that also sometimes leak when it's storming. And well, I prefer not to have any more water on my gear. Yeah, there's something to say for that as well. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do now is getting rid of that round table. I built another desk a while back, and that's just going to be my temporary desk. Also, I just got these Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses, which are great because they have a camera on them. So what I'll do is, on my Instagram, I can live stream straight from the glasses. So when I'm setting up for a recording session in the studio, or I'm working on a mix or whatever, I'll just go live. You get to watch all of that from my point of view. I think that's great. I'm really excited about this. So I'll link my Instagram down below, so you can go ahead and give me a follow there. But for now, let's switch out those tables. When I set up this room, I really thought it would be nice to have a dining table / working table, so I could work during the day, and then later at night I could invite friends over for dinner and use the same one table in my apartment. But it turns out that I'm an audio engineer, and I don't know how to make friends. So yeah, there's that. Well, all right. Okay, I have way too much stuff. Need to get rid of this plant first. And this entire thing needs to go. Why did I start this? It's also because I buy broken typewriters that are 200 years old, and I don't do anything with them. They just take up space. This is a really cool unit though. The Audioscape V-Comp. Woo! Just put it right up to there. I think this might work. But we need to know how this is going to sound, so let's get the monitors going. There's probably some psychological analysis of this, but I really like switching my environment around a lot. So that's why I'm doing a new setup again. I've had 4 or 5 different setups in this house in the past 5 years alone, so it's just what I do. This is a lot easier without the ATC on. Alright, so that's what it's like right now. I think it's nicer because it's a little bit more spacious. You can now build like a synth corner over here, maybe set up a vocal mic, have some gear on either side, and then work here. And then say hi to Juno on the couch while you work. Isn't that great? Okay, so let's do another measurement. Now, do note that there is no real treatment on this side. Like, I've got the panel wall and I've got something between the speakers and I've got something behind the left speakers. But as first reflections go, we still need to figure out how that works. I do not have any treatment on the ceiling right now, but I'm seeing a lot of residue from the water damage, so covering that up with a panel is something that can nicely cover all of that up. All right, let's measure this position. Okay, so I've done the first measurement. In red, you see this setup. In green, you see the previous setup over there. The biggest issue I'm having is over here, the 100 Hertz-ish dip. That's a big dip, and the rest of the low end is a little bit shy versus this. It is nice to see that the 200 and 300 Hertz dip that I had in the other position is now pretty much cleared up. So that's a win, but this is definitely something I'm concerned with. As you know, I work with a big console, big SSL console at Atlantis Studio, and not having a console over here kind of felt naked. So I got myself an SSL console and I'm going to add it to the setup. Let me go grab it for you. And there she is. This beautiful console is called the Mini SSL. It's made by Mark I. It is basically a cut down of the big SSL4000 we have at the Atlantis Studio. So this is one bucket of 8 channels of the famous vintage SSL4000 console. It features the same things. It features the line and the mic input. It features the same compressors, EQs, the Q section with the auxiliaries, the small faders and the large faders. And the nice thing is you can record up to 8 mic inputs, but you can mix up to 24 inputs. What I can do is send out 24 outputs from Pro Tools, send it to the faders on the Mini SSL, and then have all my summing going on over here and apply compression and EQ. And the best part is I just put this in the back of my car and drove it here. I didn't need to get a lift or a truck or whatever. I just did this on my tiny little Volkswagen Polo. Honestly, who in their right mind has an SSL4000 console in their living room? Well, you're looking at one. And I cannot wait to get this thing hooked up and see how it sounds. Okay, so let's quickly go over the vision of this setup. I want to be sitting here, and then I've got the monitors over there, and I can just talk to whoever's over there, which I think is really nice. And then I've got the SSL console over here to do all the summing and processing over there. And then on the other side, I do need to get another desk because maybe I want to have like built-in racks, so I'm not taking up as much real estate as I'm doing now. But basically that's going to be featuring the Neve rack, which I would love to fill up, so I'm Going to need to look into some stuff, maybe some BAE modules, maybe some heritage audio modules. And then I can do mixes with 8 channels of Neve and 8 channels of SSL through ATCs. I mean, this spot is going to be crazy. Okay, so we did the measurement of the room, and last time, of course, we had Marcus from MB Acoustic help us out with calculating every room mode and everything, which was super helpful, but now I have to do it on my own. And I am using the AMROC room mode calculator over here. The way it works is that you basically put in the dimensions of your room over here, and then it calculates all the room modes you have, and it even puts it down on the piano roll over here with the frequency and even the note value, the musical note, and it plays it for you. So now we don't have to set up a signal generator in Pro Tools and do all of that stuff, but we can just hover over it and it plays the frequency, and we can walk around the room and see where the issue actually is. Another thing it shows you is what kind of mode it is. So I'm not sure what terminology Marcos used last time, but it's like if the mode is in the length or the width or the height. So the first thing I want to do is go back to our room EQ wizard and see what frequencies our issues are at. So we've got 107 hertz ish. So let's see, 107.19. I think that's pretty close to this, 107.6. So that should probably be 107.19. Now that is in the width right now. So I'm just going to hover over it. I'm going to grab this microphone, and then I'm going to walk around the room and see where it cancels out and where it builds up. So this is the listening position. Then if we shift this way, it should become more. Here it cancels out to my ear. Here it's all right. Need a little bit more cable. Then here it's more, but that is probably because we're closer to that right speaker. You ideally want to be over here. Am I going to push the entire setup to the right for that? I'm not sure. I also am not an acoustician, so maybe I should check with someone if that is actually a sensible thing to do, or if I should just check the rest. Okay, so the 40 hertz issue there is not showing up in this graph, and that makes me think that these dimensions are not the actual dimensions that it would be if this was a sealed box-in-box construction, because those frequencies, they're just gonna leak out through the windows and through that wall behind me. That's a drywall. So actually the room is a lot bigger in that regard. Where that 40 hertz dip comes from, I might need to check with an actual acoustic expert. I did another measurement, moved a little bit more to the front. So what would happen if I got rid of this cabinet over here and moved the desk a little bit more towards the wall, and it looks a little bit better. It's not the best contrast on brown and red. As you can see here, red, the previous measurement, is about 10 dB lower than that 107 hertz is right now. If we move forward, there's still some stuff going on, but this might be heading in the right direction. Okay, everything is set up right now. I've got the SSL and the speakers are on the stands, and the rack gear is over there, still on the really dodgy table. So we need to get a rack for that. I've got the Apollo connected to the baby RAM, and that goes to the speakers, so I can work right now, but I do not have any connections over to the console or to the rack gear over there. Also at this point I don't even have an interface that can do the ins and outs I need for this console, so I need to get something else. Now luckily I hit up my good friends over at Universal Audio, and they were so kind to send over an Apollo X8. So in a couple of days I'll get that in the mail, and then we can hook that up. I think next video we are going to do all the connections, all the electrical connections, all the cable management stuff, all of the headache shit that we need to figure out before we can get this studio up and running. So if you have any suggestions for what kind of gear I should get, what kind of desk I should get, because we're still on the self-made desk over here, and maybe some other nice things for in the living room studio, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one. Later!